Okay, if you want to take your 10K time from 50 minutes, like mine once was, to something like 33:27, which allowed me to win my first 10K race, then this video is going to lay out the exact blueprint to help you get there. This is the exact method I followed. Starting from a place where I couldn't even hold 5 minutes for a single kilometer to eventually running 10K at 3:20 per kilometer pace or 5:20 per mile. And it's a gradual, structured process based on smart interval sessions. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through each stage. I'm Grantham, a coach and a professional ultra runner who went from not being able to run for 500 meters to 2 months later being able to put together a 50-minute 10K to 20 months later being able to win my first 10K race in 33 minutes and 27 seconds. If you're looking to make huge leaps forward with your running, whether you're training for a 5K, a 10K, or a marathon, please get in contact by booking a call in the link in the description. So let's say that you're currently running a 10K in 50 minutes. So 5 minutes per kilometer or 8 minutes per mile. That's a great base to work from. You've got some aerobic fitness and we can build from there. And the great thing is constant forward progress. And you might think, well, it takes everything for me to run 50 minutes at the moment for 10K. And when I finish, I'm absolutely spent. Good. That's exactly how it should feel. But when we start to train in a more smart, methodical way and start to put these types of sessions to work for you, you'll unleash a whole new level. So we need to understand your start point. And maybe your 5K time is a good indication of what you can do in the future. A better indication I've found over the years is to do a session like 3 times 2 kilometers with 60 seconds rest in between. Focus on managing, controlling those intervals to a point where you could do another rep if pushed. And that's a better indication. That pace that you can hold for those 3 times 2 kilometers with just 60 seconds rest in between is a better indication of where you're at the moment, most importantly, and how we can get you towards running way faster for the 10K. Okay, phase 1. All we do is we take that pace that you can do 3 times 2 kilometers with 60 seconds rest in between, and we use that pace as your start point. That's where you're at the moment. That's the effort that you can put into 6 kilometers worth of volume. And we start with 8 times 1 kilometer with 60 seconds rest in between. So that session should feel easier, even though it's more volume, because the reps are chopped up into 1 kilometer intervals instead of 2 kilometer intervals. But again, the focus is on managing and controlling that session so that if pushed, you could do another 1 or 2 reps. That is a great place to be, both for recovery, solid recovery to be able to hit the next big session, and consistency over the weeks and months and the entire training schedule. If you notice throughout the session, your heart rate for the efforts and for the heart rate recoveries drifting up, then it's unsustainable. Don't be worried about slowing down and letting the pace come to you. Now, let's say that initial test at 3 times 2 kilometers with 60 seconds rest came in that you could run 4:30 per kilometer for those 2 kilometer reps. So in this session, we're aiming for 8 times 1 kilometer at 4:30 per kilometer, but very much more about the effort that we're putting in, controlling, managing. Those are the key words. The next session I'd progress onto after that is 5 times 1.6 kilometers or 5 times a mile at exactly the same pace that you did in that initial test. So it's that 4:30 per kilometer. Great. We're focused on those 60 seconds rest. So 5 reps, longer reps of 1.6 kilometers. We're focused on holding that pace, or more importantly, holding that effort, controlling, managing the session. And then from there, very similar to that initial test, we're going to do 4 times 2 kilometers with 60 seconds rest in between. And again, we're aiming for that pace, that 4:30 per kilometer pace, or that pace that you were hitting during that 3 times 2 kilometers initial test. Now, if you're able to run those 3 sessions of 4:30 per kilometer, 4 times 2 kilometer is no joke. It's a great session to do and is really going to push you forward. I would be confident at that stage that I could go out and run 10K at 4:30 per kilometer. So 45 minutes. And within one training block, 13-week training block, it can be as quick as that you can go from 50 minutes to 45 minutes or even faster, especially when you're starting to do these right things consistently well. Phase 2. The only thing that changes here is the intensity. So we can change the duration of the rep, we can change the total volume, or we can change the intensity. And let's say we're trying to push forward and we're trying to get that 42:30 for 10K, then we're focused on 4:15 per kilometer. So we're doing the initial reps, 8 times 1 kilometer with 60 seconds rest, and we're aiming for that 4:15 per kilometer. But we're aiming again to manage and control the session so it feels within us. We're not striving, which is going to get you into trouble. We're able to manage that session. From there, 5 times 1.6 kilometers, 60 seconds rest in between, exactly the same pace, 4:15 per kilometer. Now, if you're noticing at that point, it's pretty comfortable for you to be running at 4:15 per kilometer, perhaps over one training block or even over 1 to 2 months. All of a sudden, this structured training, new interval training, starting to take effect and you're realizing you're getting used to it and getting quicker. Don't be afraid to push on. But remember, everything's about being in control so that you can hit this consistency over the weeks and over the months. And that third session I'd be doing is 4 times 2 kilometers, 60 seconds rest. And again, we're aiming for that 4:15 per kilometer. And at that point, as I said before, if you can do those 3 sessions, I'd be more than confident that I could go and run a 10K on fresh legs with a short taper at 4:15 per kilometer and hit that 42:30. It's a big leap forward. Phase 3. And this is how we take 20% off our time, go 20% faster within just 2 or 3 blocks. What we're going to work to now is 4 minutes per kilometer pace or 6:26 per mile. And again, we're focused on 8 times 1 kilometer, 60 seconds rest in between, 4 minutes per kilometer, 6:26 per mile. Next session, 5 times 1.6 kilometers, 60 seconds rest as a constant. And we're aiming again at that 4 minutes per kilometer. Next session after that, 4 times 2 kilometers, 60 seconds rest in between at that 4 minutes per kilometer. And again, once you've done those 3 sessions and they're all under your control, you feel consistent, feels manageable, feels like you could do another 1 or 2 reps, you're in a great place to go for that sub 40-minute 10K. And imagine if you started from 50 minutes and that was just 3 to 6 months ago. This is 20% quicker. It's a huge leap forward and changes your times across all distances from 5K to marathon. Now, as you can imagine, there's phase 4, there's phase 5, there's phase 6. It can go on, and you can incrementally go faster and just be doing exactly the same volume, 8 kilometers for 10K training, 60 seconds rest in between. And the only thing we're changing is the intensity. So we're going slightly faster. That's exactly what I did to a point where I could run a kilometer in 3:20 per kilometer and then do 8 times 1 kilometer, 60 seconds rest at 3:20 per kilometer. Again, repeat that second session, 5 times a mile or 5 times 1.6K, 3:20 per kilometer, just 60 seconds rest in between. And then the big one, 4 times 2 kilometers with 60 seconds rest in between at 3:20 per kilometer. Once I knew I could do those 3 sessions, I went for it. And I ran a 10K in 33 minutes and 27 seconds. So I missed my target, what I was aiming for, by 7 seconds. Why does this work so well? Because essentially we're doing 80% of the volume of the race at the intensity we want to run the race at, but we're splitting it up into intervals that are manageable for us. So we're stressing the body, like stretching an elastic band, but not stretching it too far so it snaps. So you've got an elongated recovery or you get injured, just far enough so that the next time you want to stretch it, the faster paces or more volume, the 1.6K or the 2K, we're able to because the body is now able to handle more. In the very beginning, I would go out there and I would run as fast as I possibly could for 6 times a kilometer or 8 times a kilometer. And I'd be absolutely wiped out for a week or more after that. And I wouldn't be able to do the next quality session. As soon as you have an appreciation that it's consistency over the weeks, over the training schedules, and then over the months and over the total training schedule, the better you're going to be at execution, because you'll realize it's essentially about hitting every session 10 out of 10 execution, but to an effort level of about that 80%. So if you're currently sitting at 50 minutes for 10K, but when you go out and do that initial test, you can do 3 times 2 kilometers with just 60 seconds rest, and you can go faster than that. Maybe it's 4:30 per kilometer, maybe 4:45 per kilometer. That's a great starting point. And then if you work towards those kilometer repeats, mile repeats, and 2 kilometer repeats, and patch those together consistently, and they're under your control, then I would estimate that you can go way faster. And that initial target of 10% faster is not outlandish, especially when you patch together the consistency over the weeks and months. Remember, it's not about one big session or even one big week. It really is about the training schedule. And the quicker that you can appreciate that patience and delayed gratification, the better a runner you're going to be. That's exactly how I did it, what I've just told you, and that's how you can do it too. And on the screen, I'll put you 2 recent success stories of 2 marathon runners that have taken huge chunks off their marathon times.